And then I say, yes, money is a sovereign right that arises from the sovereign right of an individual to enter into contracts. By allowing that right to be usurped by private banking interests, we have lost the greatest power a free and democratic people can have, economic power.
Amen.
Indeed.
And I would say that 90% of all the people are confused about money, about what it is now, where it comes from, but more importantly, what it should be and where it should come from. Money can take almost any form, and historically it has. From gold to cattle, from grain to salt, and water to land. These are all forms of wealth, commonly called commodity wealth, with the exception of land, which is known as real wealth or real estate, because it has certain distinctions that commodity wealth does not. Notes or deposit receipts for grain, metals, gems, or other items of value have served throughout time as a saver, more convenient means of transferring payment. Now here the reputation of the issuer was the key factor in his acceptance. But the point here is that money is a medium or means of exchange that takes the place of the items being exchanged. It is not the things themselves. When items of value are exchanged, that is called barter. Now money is used in place of barter. And that's the only thing it's used for, in place of barter. It is not the things themselves. And this is what Mike explains basically, I think, as promissory notes. So what he's basically saying is that for a money to retain its integrity, it should be free of any intrinsic manipulation, from which one of them is interest.
Just a quick comment. It seems to have been given value of its own, and that is not what it is. It's simply a transfer of value, of labor, of goods and services. That's what it, as you rightly pointed out there. But what seems to have happened, in my view, and I may be wrong, but it seems that it's been given its own value, and that's not right. It doesn't have any value of its own.
Well, that's what this second category fault that I give is all about, Karl, is systemic manipulation of the cost or value of money. And what Jack has said with awesome eloquence here is that money has to be free of that, or we suffer exploitation. The bankers don't really care what the value of money is.
Can I say one thing, Mike? Because
sure.
I think it's important for people to understand that this is exactly what mathematically perfected economy does. It takes all the capital oligarchs out of the equation.
Yes.
We don't need them anymore.
Yes.
Do you understand what I say?
That's so perfectly said, Jack. I mean those are awesome words, and I mean they perfectly summarize what's really going on here. Is we're eradicating exploitation, and I hesitate to even add to it because you said that so well.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, agreed there, Mike.
Well, bravo unto you, Jack, once again. You're accomplishing a lot over there in Europe, and and so are this fellow David Ross. I was really quite impressed with his article last night, and it's people like yourself and David and Karl here who are making the difference, because there aren't multiple solutions. We want a complete eradication of any power to exploit our commerce or our ability to prosper. Prosperity is a right guaranteed under the United States Constitution. And so there's only one way of realizing that, and we have actually provided a proof of this. And the only thing I suppose I might add, beyond your beautiful summary, is that we're supporting this mandate, which is not. We're looking for a host for this still. We need a place that can sustain taking signatures on this, but the document has been authored for years. It's being emulated itself. We're, even on a daily basis almost, are being notified of people who are plagiarizing our mandate for mathematically perfected economy and absolute consensual representation. But still, it stands as the only solution, even above the yesterday's plagiarizations, which were presented to me. And so this is going to be the instrument and the vehicle for the people to prevail by no more than the stroke of a pen. And so eventually you'll be able to go to a website, sign your name to this mandate, and the people are asserting law to government. We're not waiting for these people that Karl's written to respond to us. And this is the only way. It's, 40 years of experience have shown that, if anything short of this has almost no chance whatsoever, has fatal flaws. And this is as much as we can do likewise. There isn't any guarantee that government will comply, but we are giving them no alternative whatever but to comply.
Mike, just a comment as well. I think the system is, as everybody I think is realizing now, is falling down around our ears. It's even mainstream media can't stop or ignore it. They can't stop talking about it. It's happening all over Europe.
Oh yes, but they address it in such a pathetically impotent way, because they're participating, in this perpetration of a lie. And I'm going to respond possibly later in this same program to a 60 Minutes interview of Ben Bernanke. They soft pedal the questions. We have people writing the media constantly about mathematically perfected economy, and so there is a concerted denial of representation on that level. Also, these people are not. They might be pretending to have mutual interests and to seek answers which would satisfy us, but basically what they're doing constantly is presenting answers such as you were provided in your letter, Karl, and which can take us nowhere.
And that's the problem, though. It is going to take us nowhere, and eventually something catastrophic is going to happen.
Well,
I believe that what we need to do is preempt that.
It can only get worse, and that's what this proof of inevitable failure is so important to understand for. And this obfuscation of the currency upon which it's based is that we can't even maintain a vital circulation without perpetually multiplying artificial indebtedness at an ever-escalating rate. Why are these bailouts getting even bigger? You see? It's because they have to. You see? Yeah. It isn't all banks that are collapsing. It's these outer banks that we're interfacing with, because the lie is that they borrow the money from the central banking system. And when we can't service the debt, they go under. Well, preserving those outer banks isn't the issue. Banking is the issue itself. We need to get rid of banking. Banking is exploitation, and it's ever escalated and terminal exploitation, which not only precipitates in all the monetary injustices against us, but which ensures that we have to endure the denial of representation as well, or the banking system would never persist.
Yeah, and I think what's happening in a lot of the groups, the news groups that are out there right now, people are they realize what's going on, and they're trying to find different ways around this. Many people are actively in opposition to banks and doing it in many different ways, to the extent of Well, I understand
Well,
that
what I see in
in a
all that is
contract,
that
but
they're just watering all this down. I mean, there was one presentation in the very beginning, as Jack often says to me, and he could probably continue from here. Actually, he's probably anticipating what I'm going to say. Is what is going to happen when people finally figure out that 42 years ago I accounted for everything. And mathematically perfected economy, in fact, is the only actual solution. What is going to happen? And what you're talking about in a way that is beneficial to you, but is to me, all I see is destructive. Suppose something happens to me. You have one person after another. You have every day. You have dozens of new monetary reform sites going up by people who are just entering the issue right now, beyond the 11th hour, who don't have solution, who can't trace it to fundamental cause, and who've never proven solution. And all this was accomplished 42 years ago. What are we doing discussing this now in all these other forums? Is this a good thing? Why is there any discussion? It's simple. Does this obfuscation exist? Is it right that the bank launders the principal into its possession? Is it right that it charges interest for merely publishing evidence of our promissory obligations to each other? What's to discuss? All that happens in these forums, which really don't represent the regular person. The regular person isn't going there. There's all this animosity and viciousness. There isn't intellectual integrity. You have trolls breaking up anything good that ever happens. I mean, these forums are preposterous as they're not avenues for recognizing solution. Most of the people there are instead advocating a cause which isn't solution. The very sites are raised by people who want to go off on a different tack so that they have their solution site up there too, and they can have their donate button on it. You see? These people are not helping. They're continually dividing us. Every new thing that's called solution, which is not solution, and if there is one solution, where's the disproof of that? If there is even an opportunity that another solution exists other than mathematically perfected economy, which is the reason that all these people are against interest now. My original work started all that. I was the only person for 30 years, and now it's accepted, and the people who are accepting it can't even articulate all of the reasons why interest is not even justified. You see, you're a financial minister fellow, advocates that banking is just justified, and that's what I was met with for 30 years. Well, a lot of intelligent people realize, no, this guy knows what he's talking about here. That's absolutely right. You couldn't maintain What's that, Jack?
They're all brainwashed.
Well, and they're all out there to shout as if they'd accomplished the same thing. My work was paid some very high compliments by regular people who are smart enough to see that it was gospel from the beginning. And people decided they could make money on this. And those people are likewise criminals against the rest of us. We were going to talk about this, we never even got to this today. We were going to talk about this positive money org, this, Bank of England Act. This guy's just another plagiarist. I've written this guy. I've straightened him out. He's incorporated some of this straightening out on here. He's just a kid, And there's a join us button, donate button, just about everywhere you can look on his pages, and that's really what it's about. You invited him to debate solution with us. You haven't heard back from him.
I sent him an invite beginning of this week. I sent him the invite. Come and discuss, your Bank of England Act.
Yep.
And ask questions on MPE, and he usually reacts, sometimes within minutes, but always during the day, and no reply.
Well, he remembered that he'd heard from me in the past, and he knows he's wrong, but here he is, putting up this huge website to divert us from actual
Well,
solution.
the thing is, it's the same as with Alan Brown. They try to come up with a solution that is acceptable, whatever that means. You know, like she says, but my solution would be easier accepted by Congress than yours, Mike.
Well, that's what Ellen Hodgson Brown said, and I challenged her
Yeah.
immediately on that. She said, literally,